Today we're going to talk about how to build a due diligence machine. This would be great for anybody who's an investor or a lender, maybe private equity, real estate, anybody who's looking at a lot of deals and deciding whether to proceed with them. The typical acquisitions function starts with someone who's in charge of the organization. This person sets the strategy and then goes through a series of steps to help figure out whether to do deals. They set the demand, indicating what the parameters are for what we're going to look at. They source the deals, accumulate data about them, do some analysis, review those analyses, and they make a decision as to whether or not to proceed. Each of these steps requires a different amount of time and attention, but fortunately, the person running the acquisitions function typically has a small team to help with these tasks. Let's think about the experience of those team members. The person running acquisitions is typically a senior executive with high compensation who's achieved a level of mastery over this function. On the other hand, the junior members of the team are aspirational. They tend to be very smart people, but they're paying their dues. If we graphed experience and compensation or value on one axis and time on the other, the senior executive would be up here, and their experience, compensation, and value to the organization would be quite high. More junior people come in at a certain point in the continuum and they kind of ride along for a little while and get some experience and very often leave and get replaced by somebody new. The junior members of the team are in the cycle of moving from point A to point B. This experience is all about apprenticeship. There's a mentor-mentee relationship. They're physically proximate. There's constant interaction. They learn by actually doing things. And, they're paying their dues, so they're going to do it for a while, but not forever. Now let's talk about the actual deals that this team can address. This cube represents 10 deals. In fact, there's more deals than there is time or capacity to look at them all. So the team starts dividing these deals into different groups. One important division is whether the deal is represented by a broker or an agent of some kind or not. This cast of characters is kind of like the group of channel partners, and the truth is anything below that level is just coming in over the transom, and it's unlikely that the team will look at deals that they source themselves as opposed to ones that come through referrals. Our small team up there on the left is far too busy to deal with everybody. What they're looking for are trusted sources of deals who understand their investment thesis and the parameters that they're looking for and who can be trusted. Typically, these are people that they've already done deals with. So there's this further divide between people they know and people they don't know. And most time, attention, and energy is spent dealing with referral sources that are already known. Now that's a rational way to allocate your time, but the truth is it leaves us with a very small universe of possible deals that we can actually look at. So this is the world that we're working with. And the question is, how can we change that? If we were to take as a given this setup, with a certain allocation of time and resources, a certain team structure, and a likelihood of working with known referral sources, we can make a lot of suggestions, but they're mostly incremental improvements. Is that enough? No way. We need to deconstruct this work and rebuild it in a way that favors scalability, durability, and cost-effective throughput that we can really do something with. So what does that look like? It starts by really understanding what's going on in these key areas: sourcing deals, accumulating data, and doing analysis. Sourcing deals includes a lot of different things that happen. Some of them, on the left, have to do with physical presence. You're going to meetings, you're calling people, you're having relationships that include lunch and drinks and seeing each other with the kids at the softball game. And to the right, we have things that are programmatic. This includes looking at data sources, public information, those kinds of things. Now let's look at the things required to accumulate data. First, we have to plan what kind of information we want. Then we're viewing packages, talking to third parties, getting information, putting it into a system, and generally managing a process. Again, we can break it up into things that have to do with planning and things that have to do with actually acquiring information. Analysis has two parts as well. First, we design analyses, and then we perform them. The former requires a decision architect, and the latter requires somebody to execute. We can think of these functions a little bit differently. The portions in green really require expertise. The portions in yellow are something that can be done in a more programmatic, structured way and require a lot less expertise. Let's say we took our team of junior analysts and we put them on this project to acquire data for a bunch of deals that we've sourced. We'll split them into two, with one person dealing with the planning and the other one doing the execution. Now assume for the sake of the conversation that we're not going to have them in the same office with each other, so it'll be a little difficult for them to talk. What we need to do is have a process that allows us to easily communicate the plan to the person that's acquiring the information. That's easily done in Stemmons Central. We set up entities and cases and standards and a quest form, and we leverage departments to create a bunch of cases assigned to the right people and facts to report on all of this. Taken together, we can think of this as a due diligence case launcher process. This structured process allows us to easily add to the team that's going to be acquiring all that information. And if somebody leaves, we can replace them with somebody new very easily with minimal interruption. So remember that old model of apprenticeship and paying dues and constant interaction? That kind of goes out the window. And instead we have a much more plug-and-play situation. Instead of a mentor and a mentee, there's an architect and a builder. The execution team can be anywhere, and they don't need to constantly interact with the experts. They're going to be learning based on a system, they're following instructions, and they can be immediately productive. So what does that do? We've broken down the work into expert and production work, and now we've figured out that we can add people to the team, create some processes, and dramatically increase the amount of work that we're doing on production. So much that the scale of this image doesn't really work. We can go so far with this just by adding some more people, and we can also go much deeper. Now this might seem scary to have such a big team, especially if you're sitting in New York or Los Angeles or London, but remember, these people can be located anywhere. They could be sitting in a lower rent, lower compensation market with more ready talent, including somewhere overseas. So what could this mean to this small team? Well, we'll compare the old way of doing things and the new way. We can easily see what's happening in our pipeline. In the old version, that was difficult to do. In the new one, it's very obvious. Continuity. When we add or lose people, it's not disruptive. Not so much in the old, but definitely yes in the new. Capacity. We can double or triple the number of deals we evaluate. We can adjust the things we focus on, even at scale. And that's interesting because remember, the team is just taking instructions. So if we want to move from stable deals to distressed deals, or move from the A piece to the B piece, or even switch from debt to equity, it's no problem. Similarly, we can add an entirely new asset class or deal type without much problem. We've got great data about everything we've looked at. It's very easy to transfer information about new deals to other departments. So once a deal is done, how does the operations or the asset management team get all of the information associated with the deal in a clean and elegant way? And finally, the gold standard question is, could we easily offer due diligence as a service to others? With a traditional acquisitions team, that was very difficult, but in this new model, it's no problem at all. So how do we get here? Well, we need to deconstruct the due diligence function, add business tools and system design, and then reconstitute it all as expert and programmatic activities. Some critical components here are the business tools and the system design, and not surprisingly, we can help you with both of those things at Stemmons Enterprise. So let us know when you're ready to build your very own due diligence machine.